I'll call this meeting to order. Happy New Year, everybody. Can I have roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Dotson,
Present.
Commissioner Goings,
Present.
Commissioner Dietrich,
Also present.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Excused.
Commissioner Rowland,
Excused.
Commissioner Porter, present, Commissioner Amos,
Excused.
Commissioner Gunnelson,
Excused.
Commissioner Hunt,
Present.
Commissioner Bianchi,
Present.
and Commissioner Watkins.
Okay, we got a quorum.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Could you join me in a pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody has seen the agenda for this evening. Can I get a motions to approve this?
I move to approve the agenda. Goings?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The agenda's approved. Thank you, Commissioner Watson and Goings. The minutes from last month, December 2nd, 2025. Could I get a motion to approve those, please?
Motion to approve, Dietrich.
Don, thank you, Mr. Dietrich, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second. Goings?
Goings, thank you, Mr. J. Goings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Here we go, citizens' comments. Abby's not here?
We have none.
Standing committees, citizen comments, standing committees. We'll go right to that. Commissioner Hunt?
Just real quick, Rick's done some work. We found some potential more cemeteries in the city limits of O'Fallon. So it looks like one may not be ours. They mentioned O'Fallon Road and Marthasville Road. So.
That's old 94.
Oh, okay. So maybe it is ours.
Yeah.
But he and I are going to go do a little exploring Thursday and see what we can come up with off of O'Fallon Road, and then a second one off of Plaquemire, which butts up to the Fort Zumwalt Park area. And what is the third one, Rick?
The third one is supposedly be on Cool Springs Road. It's called the Prinster Cemetery. But also, when I talked to Mr. Prinster down the street, he said that there could be Wilkie or Welkie buried in that area too, there on Cool Springs. And I think in 1928, there was a stone still there, 1928. I haven't been out there to see if there's development, but I was at the county yesterday to dig all this up, so we'll just go see what we can find.
Great.
During the afternoon there.
Yeah, so that's all I
Just to
have.
show you what's going on, because I think we need to down the road is schedule a time, Brian and some others want to go out and do the harvest. What we need to do out in harvest, Commissioner Hunt, we need to go out and
Is that the one off of Hopewell?
yeah, we have to go out there and cut
Right.
some trees down or something.
Take a look at it.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else? No. Okay. Education Committee, Ms. Rowland is not here tonight, but she is in the process of working with the Education Committee, or the education person with Fort Zumwalt School District. She texted me earlier. And I'm going to try to throw in a meeting with her on Thursday afternoon to see where we are on doing the brochure stuff a little bit there. Okay. Anybody? The education stuff is really, it's kind of ran together with all the brochure stuff that we need to do. The city has provided us all digital copies the pictures they have of here in O'Fallon. So we do have all that, because I do have some on CDs, but it's hard to use a CD when your computer will do a CD. So we have all that information. So we will see what we come up with on our following meeting on our brochures and our education committee. Okay, and next, number 3 is the historic designation. So communications, could you show us the Woodlawn Avenue home that we were going to be looking at, please? Okay, this would be the south side, and you can see that dormer at the top that was added on in 1960s, I believe. This home was built in 1910. Okay, next picture, please. This is the back, and it's really nice. You just see the upper dormer where they add on to it, but it's got the original. It's got a porch. The wood is beautiful in there. The hardwood floors. It's a pretty big house. I think the whole property there is 0.55 acres. Let's see what else I here. It's a residence. They take really good care of it. Could I have the next picture, please? No, there's 2 more. One more. Switch it. There you go. There's a front. So that's it. And Mr. Roper is a guy. There was a Paul and Joseph Roper that built all these houses. Okay, I don't know. They built actually 419, which is this one. They built 411, which is the one we had the last time. Okay, that we didn't have enough information. And the 411 was the home of Ernest Tallow too. So I got that information. 407 they built. 401, 423, 503, 411 Fanning, 110 West Pittman, and 112 West Pittman. So they built all those houses. Some of them were in the 40s. Let's see. So they built 1910, 1932, 1928, 1914, 1951, 1945, 1957, 1915, and 1940. So they built a lot of homes here in O'Fallon. Each one is unique. It's different. Do you guys have the picture of the stamped foundation, the stamped joists, guys, back there? So all the lumber, most of the lumber for these buildings were manufactured and were hewn here in O'Fallon by the Genneman family. It's Genneman and Supply. There might be a few pieces that might have came in through railroad or through the general store, but most of everything was built there, and the logs are real thick, 1 to 2 inches, which that was pretty cool to have those stamped everywhere on there. And that's a craftsman home. They consider it a craftsman home. Let's see. It's 116 years old. Before the city was incorporated, and it's lasted a long time. Demonstration of Paul and Pauline aspirations. They were the Paul and Pauline Roper of the home building skill and construction of the community, and their dreams, their homes. And if you go down Woodlawn, you go around here, around the area. I think there was one home that was next to the school district building that was tore down there at the corner years ago. That building was tore down, but that was older. But it's Joseph. He actually even built. I just mentioned Mr. Roper. Actually, he built all these homes, but he also in 1951 he built 423. And I'm just bringing that up because there's been talk about that building, maybe a possibility. But that was built in 1951, and that became a clinic for the city of O'Fallon. And it was ran by his daughter, Alberta. So there's a lot, I mean, the house is really nice, it's really, they've had some problems in the inside and, because of, some damage from the storm, but they're repairing it all to original as far as, so you have any questions, anybody?
I see the square footage of the lot. Is that, the home is 2,756 square feet?
Yes.
Okay.
And the only part, like I said, was the dormer in the back, was the add-on in the back, which should not be original. But they did try to blend it in, you know, with the floor and the staircase and everything like that.
Looking at the picture, it also seemed interesting that there's a front column on the left side, but not on the right, which seemed...
Could you bring out that front?
Picture of the front of the
The
house.
front of the house, please?
Yeah, see how there's a column?
Yeah, and see, if you look at, there's other pictures there, okay? Now, if you look at the other pictures, we were talking about this, there's not a column there. We don't know why they put that
That's
column
by
there.
design?
Originally, that's all open.
Okay, so...
So somewhere
the
along
one
the line,
column got
somebody put
added.
that column there, and yeah, for some reason,
Yeah.
yeah. Because that is, I have pictures of the house through the years, and that actually, that column's not in the originals. So I don't know if it was an extra support. But everything else is original, the wood on the roof and of the porch, really nice porch. Actually, it's got a wonderful front porch and a back breezeway porch. That's really nice.
Yeah, I like the architecture. I like that it's, you know, somebody who had very significant ties personally as well as family to
Right.
O'Fallon. It was using O'Fallon building materials, and it's a good representative example. You know, just being old doesn't qualify it, but the story involved.
And it's actually wood and everything on the inside, the wood's on the outside. The only part maybe that might be vinyl siding would be up on the top of that little back dormer. That would be the add-on because they didn't have the wood. But everything is structurally good. And Tanya, I didn't know if we could use some of this information for 411 also, since they designed and built that one too.
We should be able to. I think with the additional information you've helped provide, I should be able to get enough into that ordinance. I think the other piece of it as a commission, if you all have not read the E-code about what qualifies or what was set up as what you should consider before determining whether or not it meets the criteria, just make sure you take a look at that as well.
Right.
But I think in just re-glancing at all this, both of the homes would, but those are the criteria you would want to follow before you would approve the resolution, or even, I guess, put the resolution on the agenda.
Okay.
But I can work on both of those if you all are in agreement to proceed with looking at 419 as well as 411. I can start working on a resolution that we could get on our next agenda.
Okay. Yes, see, I mean, you go inside, I mean, I have pictures of the inside, but I can't show it up there. But it's just, they're really beautiful, you know.
Rick, how many owners have there been? Do you know,
don't
from the original, or looks like Mr. Davis submitted this, or?
I think there's,
Currently
I would say maybe 5. I would say maybe 5 at the most. I'm just guesstimating. But I remember my wife and I, we looked at that house. We were thinking about moving, and out of where we're at now, and we had looked at that house. You know, because we liked it. I didn't like Woodlawn when Assumption gets out, but I did I love that. We love the house because we don't have a porch, and she wanted the porch. You know, that she has a beautiful porch. I think this house is a beautiful house, and they're trying, and they're actually, the family is actually staying true to the design. I think some of the old owners at one time had tried to alter it a little bit. They're bringing it back what is missing, okay, to its original state. Except for the dormer, they can't, and get the original wood for the back side, on the upper dormer. But as far as the front and everything else, yeah, looks great. And they won't take no for taking shortcuts. I mean, when it comes to doing the work of the house, definitely. So I'd like to see if you guys would like to pass this on. I would need a yay vote to move this forward. It meets the criteria of everything we have in O'Fallon. It does definitely the age. The architecture, and I guess the difference between this house and a lot of the others we might not find is that this one actually has the lumber that was actually hewed and made here in O'Fallon. And that brought down the railroad from Sears.
So I'm supportive of moving forward.
Okay,
So I
John.
guess the next step is to write it in a resolution form.
Write it
that
in
we
a re-
approve the application, so.
Yeah.
That seems, I'm supportive of that.
Okay.
You're wanting a vote for that?
I'm wanting a vote for that.
Okay.
please.
I make a motion, we vote.
Thank you.
Is that the way to do it? I don't know.
Somebody needs to second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, now we're going to have a vote. Can we move this forward? Everybody
Aye.
in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Hey,
We're moving this forward. Thank you.
Okay, we will hopefully get the resolution on our February agenda, and then once that passes through you all, we will put it on the agenda for the city council.
Now, would you want for the city's records, I mean, not for public records, so would you like pictures of the house
I think
inside?
the more information, the better. I certainly wouldn't want to get in their personal space. But
Right.
if there's information they want to share to support the nomination and the resolution, I think the more we can provide to city council, the better.
Okay, because they actually, the Ropers had put the little, the boiler system in, like where you had the radiators, and it still has the original tag. They don't use it right now. They don't use that system, but the system is still there. They use an updated system. So we actually have the picture of the boiler with the tag on it with Mr. Roper. Still, I mean, I have that on there too. So I could add that and the fireplace, I'm not the fireplace, but the few rooms and the stairwell.
I think that would be great. And what I would also maybe have you consider is if and when this passes next month at your meeting, maybe someone would want to attend the city council meeting. That way, I doubt there will be questions about it.
Yeah.
But just in case there is, we have someone there to answer those questions.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, because these unique pieces of property, we actually have the pictures of the family too, standing out there. So we have the family and their names and the brothers that actually did the building. So we pretty much have a pretty good all around.
Are all these other properties still standing? Or,
Not all of them. Yeah, there's a few that are missing, but we basically, there are some.
And Rick, I may check to see, I don't know what Councilmember Cook thinks of this, but maybe we would want there to be a brief presentation at the workshop prior to, or even just to kind of give the council a little bit of background on these houses so they know what they're,
I was
Looking
thinking that too, so I would put that together if Mr. Davis can't make it, I know his wife couldn't. I would work with him and we'd put that together.
okay.
Is the clinic house still there? It was built-
Yeah, it is. It's actually an attorney's office.
Is that the clinic house?
Yeah, that's a clinic house, but that's built in 1951. So I don't know if that meets the criteria.
Yeah, that's later, but I always wondered where that was.
Yeah, so that's been altered a little bit. So we'd have to look and see if that, to see if that would even qualify, because it's been, they've,
well, just as a reminder, just being old isn't the criteria, right?
Right.
It's architecturally significant, a
Right.
representative of the community, all these other variables.
because there's
enter
different
into
forms
that
of
equation.
luxuous houses and
Yeah.
metal houses and all that. So, yeah, the age isn't, truly is not the thing. It's just, is the house totally altered or is it not, you know?
Yeah.
How original is it? So we will, that's something like on 423, we will have to, is it 423?
23 is, where they had the
Yeah, so they had questioned about, they need to have a meeting with them yet on 423 because they had actually contacted the city too. So, Councilman Cook, would you want to be that representative for that this week? Yeah.
There is a meeting in the O regarding that piece of property, and that would be kind of changing that property significantly. So I wasn't sure
Yeah.
how everybody would feel about that.
So that property is, that home right now is supposed to become a 4-family. So it's gonna be altered.
So I didn't know how everybody felt. I mean, I know it's one of the, not as old as some of the other
But
houses
it's still a
that's there.
Roper house and it has some unique stuff in it. So I guess we'd have to dig into our legal descriptions.
Yeah, I can send you all the link again to the code, but I noticed just in reading through this that in the case of a nominated landmark found to meet the criteria for designation, the significant exterior architectural features of the nominated landmark that should be protected, the types of construction, alteration, demolition, and removal that should be discouraged, archaeological significance and recommendations for interpretation and protection. So in the case that well, this is district, never mind. Last part, but that's what our code.
That's what I thought it was. And so by altering it, it would not, if you altered another building, it would not be.
right,
Yeah,
make it into.
it would not make it, so. All right. So we just square that up before your meeting. All right. So we're going to go forward. We got a resolution. We're going to work on this, and these people are fun to work with. And if we need more information, the problem with the other property, we weren't able to see go to the basement and look into the rafters and see if there's any stamps or anything like that. So because he's kind of, just moved in there and doing stuff, and we have not been able to see the basement and the structure part of that part. But as far as the rest of the house, it looked pretty good for the other property. Okay. So we're moving forward. Educational brochures, well, we have, like I said, we have everything on them, all the pictures, we just got to pick them out. And now on the education brochures, my question will be, as we pick those out, that committee will bring that back to you guys for your guys' approval, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. We'd bring it all back for your approval of what has been picked out. And I think the city communications will help us with that. We've had a meeting with them already on some of that, on the brochure stuff. So we're good on that. We're moving ahead. The Log Cabin Museum, I'm going to turn that over to Commissioner Porter.
All right. In mid-December, Rick and I went over to the log cabin and got a good look inside, and I was really pleased to see it was in good shape. It was in really good shape, and we did get a chance to walk through it and see where it just wouldn't work ADA compliance. We also were able to see where it might be easy to make it ADA compliant. The only thing is we need the list. There's a list that I guess that was generated by somebody a couple years ago to make it, but I think it was also mentioned that it was also more than ADA compliance. So I've done a little bit of homework on ADA compliance and how to make a historical building ADA compliant. Do you want to hear about that, or is that
I
something?
mean, you're welcome to talk about it. I think we're going to have a bigger conversation in that when we had I think it was our inclusion coordinator who's well-versed in ADA who went out to the site, and she just said there's no way in that location that we'll be able to meet all the ADA requirements. She's since retired, and I don't think they've replaced her yet, but I do think it would be helpful to revisit that so we all kind of get on the same page as to what the city says we need to do to make it ADA compliant. And then I think we also have talked about maybe getting with state representatives to kind of get their take on what we can do. Because if we do need to move it, I'm not really sure the process to get that going. And if we can make it ADA compliant where it's at, then we need to figure out what steps we need to take to do that. But I don't think it hurts to have you go ahead and talk through what you found.
Well, I do think an inclusion specialist is different than ADA compliant. That is more of a Parks and Rec, inclusion, which we would be lovely to do. But I think to open it to the public, it simply needs to be ADA compliant. And from what I've learned, and I sent some emails to Amy and to Rick just tonight, it needs, a door opening that's 36 inches wide and a ramp and a door that's not a turn knob. And there's certain things that would be really easy to do. That side door is already wide enough, that the ground is flat. I also read, and I keep getting conflicting information, but the whole building does not need to be accessible. A good portion of it needs to be accessible, but then the material inside, the program itself needs to be accessible, which is what we're doing right now. We're working on the virtual museum, which has been really fun. When we were in there, so we're hoping to keep it, well, we're going to do whatever it needs to be done, but to keep it where it's at, it needs some tweaks to access the building. But to make a virtual museum, we took pictures of different artifacts and different rooms, and I entered them in, and I've never done AI before, but we were using a couple different apps, and we were able to animate scenes with people, and we wrote songs about the history of O'Fallon, and it's been really fun. I have a neighbor who wants to volunteer to create a virtual museum. I sent Amy and I think Tanya an email today that demonstrates a possible way to do the virtual museum. And it's cool. It's kind of like the way a realtor does a 3D. If you've seen how a real estate agent, you can walk in and turn down the hallway, but you can actually click on artifacts and it can give you some history of that. And if we could use the AI to click on an artifact that opens up this video of how it was used, one of them was a plunger-looking thing, and we had to Google it, like, what is this? And it was a agitator for washing clothes by hand. And so I asked AI to create an image for me, and it did. It helped me visualize what in the world their life was like. So it's going to be good, trust me. I'm learning, but we also had talked about doing a cleanup day, and Amy told me today that we really do need to work with the tourism department and maybe Parks and Rec before we can pick a date.
Well, we recently found out, not to speak for you, Amy, but we had thought that it was parks, but we recently found out that Tourism and Festivals is now responsible for the 3 historic sites. So Mariah Davis is the staff contact for that. So we need to work with them in terms of scheduling the time, volunteer services to make sure they're all on board with the applications for volunteers and it passed through. But I think it's probably a pretty easy process. But when we do communicate with this, like we said, we recently just found out it was Mariah. So we'll just keep her included and keep her in the loop on those conversations.
And it's Nikki Lowe, too, that is with Volunteer Services. I got a message for that today.
Yes, I had thought Katie was working on it,
Yeah,
then I
but
found
it's-
out the other
yeah,
day
yeah.
now Nikki is.
It's Nikki, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it all changed since when
Yeah.
we originally started talking about it. But I know Parks is responsible for the upkeep and the maintenance of the log cabin.
So while I was reading through the Historic Preservation Commission duties and powers, and it says that we offer insight on the identification of historically well, we identify historically significant structures that exemplify cultural, architectural history of the city. And that's just a shortened version. I think the log cabin should have a plaque. It has been moved, which makes it not
She said that.
state. The state can't identify it as a historical property, but I believe that that log cabin has historical significance. It was owned by a O'Fallon family, and even the location where it's at, being the first part of O'Fallon, there's some significance there. I don't know if it qualifies. It is old. It has historical significance. Why do we not nominate that as a historical landmark?
It's been altered and moved I think because when it was moved in 1979, they kind of changed it from originally what it was. And I believe that was Marvin Keithley's home, Mary Darst. So when they did move it, and you can tell around the door how they altered it to make it didn't lock properly, so they altered the doorway. I don't know if it's because they had to make it bigger or what, but, so there was some little structural changes on it.
Does that knock
That's
it
just
out?
what I know, and according to the state, like, we can't get it, they said we could not get a grant on that because of the fact of it has already been moved once.
Okay, but so we can't, our city can't nominate it as a historical?
I mean.
We can, but take a look at the guidelines that were referenced earlier and ask yourself, line by line, does this qualify
Yeah.
under this?
Where are those guidelines?
I'll send you a link. I'll send everyone a link. I did have some printed copies up in my office too, but I'll just send everyone a link to the website. But it does say too that it has to meet one or more of the following, and I'm not saying it doesn't, but of course we want to make sure that we're keeping this in mind when we're nominating these. And it may. I don't want to answer that right
don't
now.
know.
It may meet all of them. I don't know.
Who knows? And I guess I'll end with, I did put a wreath on the door with the solar lights and a couple ribbons, but the ribbons blew off. And anyways, it was kind of fun to do.
Look good for Christmas.
It looked good for about a day, and then the ribbons blew off. I had to go get those. But the wreath glowed at night. So that's my story. That's my report.
I do appreciate you taking the time to work on this. And as we were talking, I looked through old emails, and one of the emails I found was from Parks, where they said that they do not recommend opening this building at all. That from the parking lot to the door through the inside of the building, it's just not at all ADA compliant. But again, we can revisit all that. And I think Amy, Rick, everybody who can remember, I think part of their concern was just and I think we talked about this before, the ramp being
Right.
able to be built where the parking lot is. That
Yes.
was the biggest concern. I think that if that's
Because it's so many inches per feet, so you'd have to have, that curve is so close to the door. I think we have to revisit it actually. See where they are. But yeah, I could see where if you just did a ramp, where there's not enough space for that. But if you move the entryway, maybe it'll work.
I did just out of curiosity contact 2 local contractors, both that specialize in ADA compliance. I was just curious, and I know that's not my position. How could we get a couple of people to come look at that and just say, hey, I could do this for you for $500. I could do this for you as a donation because I'm an O'Fallon resident. What could we do?
Be honest with you, I'm going to answer that right off because we have to know what the guidelines are for the city and the Parks Department, what they want to do with that building. Because if the building is going to stay, we can work on that and we can get donations to build that ramp. But if it's going to move, then it'd be a waste. So we have to revisit and see where we're at. Actually.
Getting donations through the city would be problematic. They have to open it up for bids and issue formal RFQs and have everyone to have equal access. But through the community foundation, that would be a potential option as well to receive donations and then through a tax deductible
Go through the
method. That'd be the other option.
Right.
But the question everyone's going to ask is to what end? what purpose? What are we going to use it for? To open it back up is not going to be a compelling enough argument. I mean, it was open once before and closed because of lack of interest.
But it wasn't the cities, it was the historical societies, two different things. We're
Correct.
preservation today, we're preservation.
That's the first
and
thing
parks,
everyone's going to
yeah.
ask you 100% of the time is other than just with the objective of reopening it, you're going to need a lot more detail about that.
True. Thank you, Commissioner Porter, for all your work you're doing on that too. I know it's not on the agenda, and I just realized under new business, can I, John, you had talked about maybe seven new signals? Do you have-
Traffic box. Has
Yeah.
everyone seen the two that got done in November? So,
Yes, they look great.
Yeah? Yep. So we do have the plan for doing 7 of them.
Okay,
We've got to lock up funding first. That will happen later this month.
okay,
And then I've got to scan in some photos, which will also happen this month, and then we'll bring some applications. I would say probably the February meeting is too ambitious, but I would say the March meeting, we'll have some applications to review.
okay. I just remembered that you guys received that grant, and I know there's a process on grants, so I wanted to see where we were on, because that's exciting, to get 7 done, so, okay. Anybody have any other things that they'd like to talk about?
I have one brief
Okay.
update that I just found out about tonight. So, as I think I told everyone, the state is coming to host their board meeting here, March 20th. And they would like to come in, a couple representatives from SHPO would like to come in January.
Okay.
To check out our facility here, make sure technology's going to work. They're going to look at hotels in the area and kind of talk through a kind of tentative agenda as to what they would like to do. So I may ask some, all, whoever, I'm not sure how many of you to attend that meeting, but they threw out a couple dates in January. So once they give me the date that they want to come on site, I'll share that with you. And then we can meet with them to discuss the plans for the March 20th meeting.
I'm looking forward to that.
I think it'll be great.
And then once we get the plans, I was thinking about our local communities, that I would go to the local preservations and invite them personally to go to their meeting and invite them personally to that meeting.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good idea. It would be nice to have an audience of
Yeah.
people here for that meeting. I know I'll plan to attend for sure,
Me
so.
too. All right. Thank you. So our next meeting will be February. John, you got something?
Yeah, I was other items. Wanted to pass on something I saw on social media. Bill Hart, who was the former SHPO director, and he came to speak to our meeting back in the early days. He was kind of instrumental in telling us and teaching us what a certified local government meant. I was sad to hear that he passed a couple months ago online. So he wrote a nice little book on Missouri roadside attractions that I have, but I'm not quite sure what caused his passing. He was still fairly young, but sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I do have one more thing too. There is a new book that is actually in the printer right now on the all drains. It will be, as soon as it comes out, it will be for sale at St. Charles County Historical Society. But it is at the printers right now on the all drains here, so, and they will be selling it.
By the way, have we notified St. Charles County Historical Society of our hosting of the meeting?
No, I was gonna wait till we had the agenda. Okay. But because also, who else, I did kind of mention it to the county assessor and deeds when I was working down there, and they would probably be interested too. So I will work out, once we have the agenda, then I will personally go contact those people.
And if you remember the night before, or the day, I'm not sure exactly of timeframes, but they were wanting to host some sort of open house and
Right.
possibly even go see some historic sites while they're here, so we can talk through all of that when the two representatives are on site.
Because what I was thinking too, I know it was brought to our attention through SHPO once before, that maybe if we can have the mayors come of our local communities, maybe we can have the mayors show up for our meet and greet. Just let them know that we're gonna have a meet and greet through SHPO, so they know who the state representatives are. And so hopefully we can reach out to them and maybe they can attend O'Fallon, St. Charles, and Wentzville. I think the other one was Augusta, is the other CGL, I think it's Augusta.
Well, I know I had to run this by the mayor and president pro tem prior to you all, and they were very excited about the idea of hosting the event. So I'll remind them, and perhaps we can even mention it at a council meeting in February or even early March, to kind of help get the word out to our local communities too. So the mayor may have connections. Mike
Okay.
Snowden is aware and excited, so maybe he could talk to some of his fellow city administrators, managers, that sort of thing, to drum up some excitement and
Yeah, it'll be
participation.
fun. Maybe we can get the communications over there, do a video or something, right?
Communications is wonderful, and they do whatever we need them to do. They're a great group of people.
They are, thank you. Anybody else have anything else? With that, everybody, good night.